It's going to be an incredible weekend, and let's look at some of the numbers specifically on these games as we head into conference championship weekend. What's on trend for the Final Four teams? We start in Seattle. The Seahawks' pressure defense has been outstanding recently, allowing only 19 points over their last 3 games. They've also only allowed 1 touchdown in that span. Mina, do you see this trend continuing for Seattle's defense?
I don't think to that extent. 2 of those games were against the Niners, and it was a lot of Brock Purdy trying to make plays happen, which invited pressure because he was holding on to the football. But that said, going back and watching Week 16, one thing that jumped out to me, first 3 quarters, Seahawks got very little pressure, 15% rate. Then in the fourth quarter, more than doubled. You saw Leonard Williams and the other pass rushers show up in a big way. They're going to have to in this one for more than 1 quarter, I think, to win this game.
Let's go to Denver now, where history tells us if you start a different quarterback in the conference championship than you did in the divisional round, you likely aren't going to win. That lone exception was the 1992 Bills, who started backup Frank Reich first. Starter Jim Kelly was hurt, okay? Kelly came back for the AFC Championship game and won, though. Dan, does the trend continue in Denver on Sunday?
Yeah, I think that trend continues for the backup quarterbacks. We've watched this Patriots defense really minimize 2 good quarterbacks in the last 2 weeks of the playoffs in C.J. Stroud and Justin Herbert, and candidly make them look terrible. Sean Payton's absolutely outstanding. This is a good offense in Denver. This is the first time this guy's going to be playing in 3 years. I think that trend continues.
Let's go to the other side of the AFC Championship matchup with the Patriots, the only team yet to lose a road game this season. Not hard to see why. New England scored nearly 30 points per game away from Foxborough, but the Patriots have never won a playoff game in Denver. They're 0-4. RC, will the Patriots stay unbeaten on the road?
I do believe so, but it's not because of the statistics you showed me from the offense. It's because of the way this defense has been playing for Zach Kerr throughout these playoffs. We already talked about Milton Williams, the impact he's making. And what stood out to me last week was the way this team is tied together on all 3 levels, especially in their blitz and cover packages. You can see the quarterback having to figure out post-snap what's happening. And think about a guy like Jarrett Stidham, who hasn't taken a snap in a regular season game, much less an AFC playoff game in a long time.
Let's go to L.A., where the Rams continue to win nail-biters in the playoffs under Sean McVay. McVay has 6 playoff wins in games decided by 3 points or fewer, and he's in pretty good company, just 1 shy of the NFL record. That includes both games this postseason. Marcus, does the trend continue versus the Seahawks?
Boogie, I say this with a lot of reservation. I don't believe so. The LA Rams have been teetering these last 2 weeks in the playoffs. I don't think they walked away with a ton of confidence in their performances that they put together 2 weeks back to back. And now you get the Seattle Seahawks at home, the 12th man, one of the best defenses in the NFL, the best defense left in this playoffs. I don't believe that the Rams can just hover around being mediocre for majority of this game and thinking that they're going to come through on the last second drive with what Seattle has on the defensive side. So if it is close and they need a drive for a touchdown, I don't believe that trend continues.
Yeah, I see why you say it with reservation, right? Both these teams have been so good in so many different moments. But Dan, how do you see Stafford and that offense attacking the stout Seattle defense in what will be their 3rd match of the season? There's so much familiarity on both sides.
Yeah, we've broken this game down in and out all week. There's 13 personnel, the pressure from Seattle and the way they tackle and their edges and the way they'll pressure. I think one thing that if the Rams are able to look back on and win this game, from a quarterback perspective, you're going to get 3 to 5 chances this game to hit big plays. I do not expect a Week 16 performance again where it's almost a shootout. You got to hit them. You got to hit the big plays because this defense is just too good. And if you drop back and you have these misses, this defense is going to hunt. And so this isn't going to be something where Matthew's got to hit 10 of those explosive throws, but you're going to get a handful of opportunities to make them happen. When they're there, you got to make them happen. I would say the other thing is this. This Seattle team has scored 8 non-offensive touchdowns this year. 8. They've got 5 on special teams and 3 on defense. This is an eyelash game. If you're the Rams, you can't give cheap points away to this football team with this defense at home. That's gotta be a absolute X across the screen for giving Seattle a non-offensive touchdown this game.
Yeah, I mean, this game turned on a punt return from Rashid Shaheed in the second meeting in Seattle, and we watched the way the game started against the San Francisco 49ers for Seattle as well. I do wonder when Mike McDonald watches the tape, it sees the pressure packages of the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears affecting the Rams' protection and Matt Stafford in the way that it has the last 2 weeks. How much do they ramp that up? And a person that I think everyone should be paying attention to is Nick Emanwari. I mean, he's the slot guy that can move around, play second level, be one-on-one with tight ends, add pressure, and he's also involved in a lot of their disguise packages. So I want to see what his utilization will be and how that will affect Matthew Stafford. And it goes to Dan's point about not missing. He'll have opportunities, Matthew Stafford that is, to hit some of these holes in the blitzes and the blitz coverages, but he has to make them count because there won't be many.
Yep.
You know, the blitzes are fascinating to me. Ryan, you talked about the Rams struggling against those in the Chicago game, because when I went back and watched 16, Seattle also blitzed their DBs a few times. But one difference was that I think is really meaningful. They did it when Stafford was in the gun and he torched them. When he turned his back to the defense and had a pass rusher in his face, he struggled, as he did against Chicago. So I think for Seattle, that's a way to get him out from those under center looks, because he was able to kill them with play action as he has all season long. So then it becomes Matthew Stafford in the gun, treading this defense. There's no, he's the quarterback who's certainly capable of doing that. But to Dan's point, he's going to have to hit on a few big plays out of those looks. It's not going to be as easy.
I'm also interested to see, guys, how much. Obviously, we know Puka is going to have high usage in this game, but how many ways can you find opportunities to get him the ball, and can you make them pay with him on some of those blitzes? Obviously, they hit the little over route with him that went for a touchdown late in that Week 16 game, and just kept kind of needling at that spot. I'm just interested to see the adjustment from Mike McDonald. RC, you bring up a great point with Emanwari, because, one, you do want him pressuring with the speed that he brings off, but if they get in 13 personnel, do you want him matched up on some of those tight ends and not giving away so much size? It's an interesting chess match. I think the reservation that we all have, and for everybody that's been watching the Rams, they have not been the normal performing offense that we had grown accustomed to for the past 2 weeks, which gives you a little bit of concern going into this game after you seeing how dominant Seattle defense has been.
I think for Seattle, Marcus, to just pick up back off what you said, you got to bring Puka down. He killed them with the ball in his hands, as he does everybody I know. But McVay made a focus to go after the linebackers in Seattle. You mentioned the crosser, for example. If that happens again, you cannot if you're Seattle, you can't let an 8-yard completion become a 15-plus yard one.
God, he's so
and to that, then Ernest Jones has to have one of those games we saw last week as well then. Ernest Jones, if you look at a lot of those plays from Puka, the dig for a touchdown late in the game, Ernest Jones was the hook player there. He catches a glance early on in the game as well. Ernest Jones is running middle runner. And so those are going to be plays that Ernest Jones has to step up on, because it did seem like Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay targeted that area of the field.
Yeah, Stafford had 27 passing touchdowns versus the blitz in the regular season, none in the postseason. We'll see if that's able to change. By the way, you're not getting this analysis anywhere else, people, so take it to heart. All right, still to come. Turnovers plagued the Patriots' second-year quarterback against the Texans last week. Here's why Dan says Drake May's decisions will decide this one. The Broncos' stifling defense is a force to be reckoned with. We'll be right back.